what has been sus so far is the way Isaac Paredes has been at the plate. 149 is what he's batting as a Cub. Before the game, he told Jesse Rogers, I don't feel good. I feel lost out there. Now, for those of you that are mad that it was Christopher Morel that was traded, just remember that he's hitting 147 for the Rays. So he's 2 points worse than Paredes has been for the Cubs. Neither team has made out like a bandit early on in this deal. Sarah has a graphic. Ryan got a quote from Craig Counsell before the game today talking about Paredes struggles at the plate. He says he just hasn't gotten on track offensively. There's no question about it. He'd tell you the same thing. We're certainly taking note of it, and he's working his tail off to fix it. He's a quiet kind of competitor, but he's a really hardworking kid, and he cares a lot. It's hard to see it sometimes, and so this is frustrating for him. There's no question that this hurts him to not be playing well, but he will get there. We will get there. We will help him get back on track. We got to help him do it. That's our job, is to help him do it. Well, he's right about that part of it. Like,
yeah,
that's what he's getting paid the big bucks for, and that's part of it. They've got to find a way to get him back to being the type of player that they needed to go get at the trade deadline. That looked like, okay, they've locked up third base. It's just been his return to the Cubs has been a struggle. What did he go again today? Was he 0 for again today?
0 for again. And there was one at bat. I think he swung first or second pitch, hit a pop up on the third base side, like just an uncompetitive at bat.
Yeah, 0 for 4.
He had a lazy pop up, like flare, hit the second, I believe, as well. It was actually weird, like to see him in the 2-hole today. You know, Bush has been there, and I know Bush has kind of been struggling of late too. So, you know, maybe it was more so for Bush than it was Paredes. Maybe they're trying to get him more at bats just because they're trying to help him. I don't know. But I'll say this. He's had one good week with the Cubs, against the Twins and the White Sox. He had a huge 3-run homer against the Twins to help them win that series. He played well against the White Sox. I know it's the White Sox, but whatever. So outside of that week, though, yeah, it's been kind of tough to watch. And he's even had a few errors in the field that haven't helped. And listen, this is what I'll say about Paredes is that if we're still talking about Paredes struggling on offense in June, at the beginning of June next year, that's when I will start looking back at this trade. So we've talked a ton about the trade. And everyone knows my thoughts about the trade at this point. So I'm just going to I'm going to push that to the side regarding today's conversation. That said, in the present, with him struggling right now, like, yeah, he's got to find a way to hit better than 149, 150, whatever it is. He just simply has to be better, right? Like that's just what it is. And I think right now, what's a little alarming to me is that the concerns that a lot of fans had, which was the fact that his hard hit rate's not great. He's straight pull hitter, all these things. He's hit some balls hard, but into gloves in left field, right? I'm acknowledging the fact that some of the concerns that a lot of fans had, some of those things we have seen since the trade happened, right? I have seen some strikeouts though too, and his K rate is around 16% before coming to the Cubs. I don't know what his K rate is with the Cubs. And another thing too, he was struggling in July with the Rays before coming here, so he's just been struggling since beginning of July overall. So it's been a deep slump for him, and I am, at least in the moment, I would say that I am a little concerned just because it's just been a lot longer than just like a week. I think when people were freaking out because Morel hit 2 home runs in his first 2 games or whatever for the Rays, and Paredes had gone like 0 for 4 for 2 straight games or whatever it was, and people freaking out about that, I think that's stupid. But now that we've seen a little bit of a sample size, I understand it, and I am a little concerned, but I'm not like, we need to trade him this offseason mode or anything like that, or we need to DFA him, because that's even worse than if we look back at the trade and it looks bad. Like, they're going to go into next year with Paredes at third base. And if they don't, then they either traded him and somehow upgraded, or some crazy shit happens that I can't even like comprehend on what happened Like it would be something that no one saw coming, right? Or maybe an injury, which would be even worse. So, yeah, I mean, I am a little concerned just because some of the things that a lot of fans had concerns about, we are seeing. I'm acknowledging that. And so, yeah, this last month and a week or so for him is really important. And honestly, the team was playing well that week that that good week he had. They won that series against the Twins, and then they swept the White Sox. Like, their offense looked great that week, and it was largely because him and Cody Bellinger were hitting. So, and lately the offense has looked kind of bleh, and it's because he's not hitting, and no one else is really hitting as well, except for today. The offense did hit today. You scored 10 runs, but it's not on any kind of consistent basis. I felt like once he came to the Cubs, they started winning. They started winning games, and you were getting a little bit more consistency in the lineup. But that was just because at first it felt like it was his presence, but I felt like his at bats were giving them they were better than what you were getting out of Morel at first. And now some other guys are cooled off too. And because he's not hitting, it's showing all across the lineup. So yeah, if there's going to be any success for this team, or at least minor upgrade success, like he's got to obviously hit better. And so like, I don't know how he's going to, how they get him there. Like that's the thing. And that's only because I just haven't seen enough to know like what brings him success other than, okay, the spray chart says he just mainly pulls the ball. Okay. Well,
except for with 2 strikes when he likes to go to the opposite way. And that has been one of the things he's done well. Let's just give it some time. Like we know he's not a perfect player. Morel wasn't a perfect player. And just like there's a possibility when you make a trade that both teams, some people are like, that's a win-win. Both teams are going to win on this. Or, we're always joking on social media, Cubs won the trade, Cubs lost the trade. No matter what Paredes does or anytime Morel does anything.
You're talking about me?
Yeah, you. And I enjoy that. But it is also possible. The other possibility is that both teams just will get nothing out of this trade. It won't really be a big deal when it's all said and done. And that's possible too. But let's remember that a lot of pressure comes with guys being traded at the trade deadline when they go to a new team. Like I do know what you're saying. Paredes was struggling even before he got to the Cubs with the Rays. And to some degree, obviously, so was Morel. But guys squeeze the bat a little bit harder. You try to do a little bit more. And the more you struggle, the harder it gets. And the snowball continues to roll downhill. That's why a lot of midseason trades for position players, a lot of times they don't have the impact teams are hoping to have, because guys are trying to do a little too much. Now, it's different when you're trading for a guy that's like a superstar. But when there's pressure on a player to, in this case, come back to his original franchise and show what he can do, and he's had success, and they're in a quote-unquote hunt for a playoff spot, there's pressure with that. And it's been building on him, and you can kind of see that it's starting just based on his quote. You can tell that he's really bothered by it. So I'm not surprised. Give it time to turn around and see what happens next year before we write him off as the third baseman for a couple of years.
I would honestly like to see them give him a few days off. And they tried to on Sunday either.
Yeah.
They tried to on Sunday, and then he got a pinch hit at bat. And I understood the situation there. Honestly, it didn't make any. I understood the situation, but it didn't necessarily make sense considering they sat him because of shoulder soreness. And Corey and Brendan talked a little bit about that on their show Sunday, and just the continuous questions with how this organization manages injuries and stuff. Just more of that jazz. But yeah, I mean it's almost like he could just use a few days. And the problem with that, though, is that they don't have, except for Bodie, I guess, if you wanted to play Bodie for three or four consecutive days, like I'm not against it. Fine, but like your offense is your offensive look, at least like the fear in the lineup. Not that there's much fear in this lineup anyway, but like you're let's just be honest, like it's a big drop in terms of what you're regularly starting at third base compared to what's on your bench. And like, that's why to me, it's like, why not maybe be a little aggressive with a guy like Matt Shaw, but whatever. I don't think they're going to call him up, but that's been the story of the season. They're going slow with development. So they could call up Master Boney or someone like
I knew it was coming.
He was good. He was good for like 2-week stretch.
Put $1 in the Soto jar. We said it, Master Boney.
He played some solid defense at third base. We all acknowledge that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, if it's not Bodie, then like Master Boney would be the next one that's realistic. Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason I think that they haven't really given him full days, like a couple days of rest. It's like because they still believe that they can get in somehow, some way, I guess. And after you sit him with who's currently on the active roster, it's like Wisdom or Bodie. And I guess I'd go with Wisdom, but he's also a liability defensively as well. Bodie's at least better defensively, I think, but I don't know what you're going to get out of him on offense. He has been better against left-handed pitching. If you get some lefties coming up in the next couple of days, like maybe you could do it then, but yeah, it's a tough situation when you don't really have depth at third base, really.
What about
like good depth, I guess you could say.
We all silly like the mayor.